I was standing in the museum bathroom, hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the pendant. Blue glass, smooth, cold. I'd carried it in the inside pocket of my purse for 28 years, since the day my mother left, or disappeared, or whatever she did. I didn't know anymore, because a man I'd never met just told me everything I believed about my mother was a lie. And my husband, the man I'd been married to for 12 years, was in the hallway outside, telling my boss I was mentally unstable. I could hear his voice through the door. Calm, concerned, reasonable. She's been under a lot of stress. This stranger showed up and started filling her head with delusions about her mother. I'm worried about her mental state. She might need some time off. My boss, Dr. Cross, responded. I couldn't hear her words, just the low murmur of sympathy. Marcus was rewriting reality, right outside this bathroom, and everyone was believing him, because that's what Marcus did. He controlled the narrative. Always had. I just never noticed before. Let me back up. Start from the beginning. My name is Laura Bennett. I'm 36 years old. I've worked at the Riverside Museum of Art in Chicago for 18 years. Same position. Assistant curator, never promoted. I'm married to Marcus Bennett. 12 years. No kids. No passion. Just ... routine. And I have this pendant. Blue glass. Simple. Nothing special. Except it was the last thing my mother gave me before she left. I was 8 years old. My mother, Emma Bennett, or so I thought, walked me to school one Tuesday morning. Kissed my forehead. Put this pendant in my hand. Keep this safe, she said. It's important. I never saw her again. My Aunt Rachel raised me after that. She said my mother was troubled. That she needed to go away. That it was for the best. I accepted it. What else could an 8-year-old do? But I kept the pendant. Always, in the inside pocket of every purse I ever owned. A small weight. A reminder that once, someone had loved me enough to give me something to hold on to. This morning started like every other morning. I woke up at 6. Marcus was already in the shower. He always showered first. Used the bathroom first. Ate breakfast first. I waited. That was our routine. We drove to work separately. We worked at the same museum, but Marcus was director of operations. I was just an assistant curator. Different floors, different worlds. Don't forget, he said as I grabbed my purse. We're having dinner with the Hendersons tonight, 7 p.m. Wear the blue dress, the one I bought you, okay? And Laura, don't order wine. You know how you get. I didn't know how I got. I rarely drank. But Marcus said things like that. Casual corrections, small reminders that he knew better. I'd learned not to argue. The museum was quiet when I arrived. Tuesday mornings usually were. Just staff. A few early visitors. I was cataloging a new acquisition, a set of Russian icons from the early 1900s, when Dr. Cross called me to her office. Laura, we have a special visitor today. Adrian Volkov. He's an international art collector and conservator. Very respected. He's here to evaluate our Russian collection. I'd like you to give him a tour. Of course. Adrian Volkov arrived at 10 a.m. Tall, late 40s, expensive suit, but not in the way Marcus wore expensive suits. Marcus's suits were armor. This man's suit was just ... clothing. He had kind eyes. Sad eyes. Ms. Bennett, he said, shaking my hand. Thank you for taking the time. It's no problem. I love this collection. Let me show you. We walked through the gallery. I explained the provenance of each piece. The history. The restoration work we'd done. He listened carefully. Asked good questions. Seemed genuinely interested. Then it happened. I was reaching for my notepad. My purse slipped off my shoulder. Hit the floor. Contents spilled. Keys, wallet, lip balm, and the pendant. It rolled across the marble floor. Stopped at Adrian's feet. He bent down to pick it up, and froze. His hand was shaking as he lifted it, stared at it, turned it over in his palm. Where did you get this? His voice was barely a whisper. It's mine. My mother gave it to me. It's just a pendant. No. He looked at me. Really looked at me. This isn't just a pendant. This is Murano crystal, hand-blown, part of a protected collection. There were only 12 made. I have one exactly like it. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a pendant identical to mine. Same size, same color, same design. My mother wore this before she died. He said she was a conservator. She worked with another woman. A brilliant woman. They were partners. Until something happened. Until they discovered something they weren't supposed to know. My head was spinning. I don't understand. What was your mother's name? Emma. Emma Bennett. He shook his head. No, that's not her real name. Her name was Alina Volkov. She was Russian. A conservator specializing in icon restoration. And she disappeared 28 years ago, after she and my mother uncovered a high-level art forgery ring. I felt the floor tilt. That's not possible. My mother's name was Emma. She was American. She left because she was ... troubled, unstable. That's what my aunt told me. Your aunt was protecting you. They all were, because the people Alina crossed don't forgive, don't forget. And they would have killed her daughter if they knew where to find her. This is insane. This is some kind of mistake. Adrian pulled out his phone. Showed me a photo. 2 women standing in front of a museum, both wearing pendants. One was older, dark hair, warm smile. The other was my mother, not Emma Bennett, Alina Volkov, but my mother. They worked together for 5 years. Adrian said. They discovered that several major museums were selling forgeries, high quality, almost undetectable. But Alina and my mother caught them. And when they tried to report it, they were threatened. My mother died in a car accident 6 months later. Alina disappeared with her daughter. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. This wasn't possible. My whole life, everything I knew, I've been looking for you for 12 years, Adrian continued. Since I learned the truth about what happened to our mothers, I promised myself I'd find Elena's daughter. Make sure she was safe, and now I have. I grabbed my purse. Shoved everything back inside. I need to go. I can't, Lara. Wait. But I was already walking away, fast, into the bathroom, where I stood now, hands shaking, pendant clutched in my fist. The bathroom door opened. I jumped. Marcus walked in, didn't knock, just walked right into the women's bathroom like he owned it. Lara, what's going on? That man, Adrian, he said. I know what he said. Dr. Cross told me. Some nonsense about your mother being a different person. About art forgeries. It's a scam, Lara. Can't you see that? But he had a photo, and a pendant, exactly like mine. How would he? Because he researched you. Found out about your mother leaving. Found out you have emotional vulnerabilities. This is what con artists do. They prey on people with childhood trauma. The way he said it. Childhood trauma. Like it was a weakness. A flaw. I'm not Ty. Don't have Lara. His voice got softer. The way it did when he was about to tell me I was wrong about something. Your mother abandoned you. She was unstable. That's hard to accept. I understand. But you can't let a stranger manipulate you into believing some conspiracy theory. But what if no? Firm now. I'll handle this. I'll talk to security about banning him from the museum. You go home. Rest. We'll talk about this tonight. I don't want to go home. Lara, his hand on my arm, not gentle. Go home now. That's not a request. He walked out, left me standing there. And that's when I noticed something. In 12 years of marriage, Marcus had never asked me about the pendant. Not once. I wore it every day. Carried it everywhere. He'd never asked where it came from, what it meant, why I kept it. It was like he already knew. Before I tell you what happened next, I need you to understand something. If this story sounds familiar, if you've ever felt like you're living a life someone else designed for you, please subscribe. Because what I discovered wasn't just about a pendant. It was about a lie so deep, it had become my entire life. I went home like Marcus told me to, but I couldn't rest. Because for the first time in 12 years of marriage, I saw something in Marcus's eyes I'd never seen before. Fear. And I couldn't understand why a pendant, a piece of glass I'd carried for 28 years, would make my husband afraid, unless he knew it wasn't just glass. unless he knew exactly what it was, and who I really was. I sat in my living room for 2 hours. Just sat there, staring at the pendant in my hand. Marcus had told me to rest. But how could I rest when my entire life had just been rearranged like furniture in a room I thought I knew? The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Marcus wouldn't be home until 7. Dinner with the Hendersons. He'd be furious I wasn't getting ready. But I couldn't move, couldn't think about the blue dress or small talk or pretending everything was normal. Because nothing was normal. A stranger had looked at me today and called me by a name I'd never heard. Alina Volkov's daughter, not Emma Bennett's daughter, Alina Volkov, who was Alina Volkov. And why had Marcus looked so afraid when Adrian showed me that pendant? I stood up, started pacing. My hands were still shaking. Think, Laura, think. If what Adrian said was true, if my mother had a different name, a different life, there had to be proof, evidence, something. Aunt Rachel had raised me after my mother left. She'd given me a box when I turned 18. Your mother's things, she'd said, not much, but it's yours now. I'd looked through it once. Photos, a scarf, a cheap bracelet, nothing important, but maybe I'd missed something. The box was in the hall closet. Top shelf, behind winter coats. Marcus insisted I keep even though I never wore them. I dragged a chair over, climbed up, pulled the box down. Cardboard, taped shut. I'd retaped it after looking through it 18 years ago. Never opened it again. I carried it to the kitchen table. Found scissors, cut the tape. Inside, exactly what I remembered. Photos of my mother, young, smiling, holding me as a baby. But generic photos, no locations, no dates written on the back. Like someone had carefully removed any identifying information. A blue scarf, soft, worn. It still smelled faintly of her perfume. Something floral, faded. A bracelet, silver, cheap. The clasp was broken. That was it. I dumped the box upside down, shook it. Nothing. But the box felt heavy. Heavier than it should be for just photos and fabric. I looked closer, ran my fingers along the inside. The bottom was thicker than it should be. A false bottom. My heart started racing. I grabbed a butter knife, pried at the edges. The cardboard was glued down. Old glue, brittle. It lifted. Underneath an envelope. Yellowed, sealed. My name written on the front in handwriting I recognized. My mother's handwriting, Laura. Just my name, nothing else. I picked it up, hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. This envelope had been sitting in this box for 28 years. Aunt Rachel had given it to me, but she'd hidden it. Behind a false bottom. Why? Unless she was told to hide it. Unless opening it was dangerous. I broke the seal, pulled out a letter. 3 pages, handwritten. Same handwriting as the envelope. My dearest Laura, if you're reading this, then something has happened. Either I've been gone too long and you've started looking for answers, or someone has found you. Someone who knows the truth. I don't know how much time I have to write this. I don't know if you'll ever read it, but I need to try. I need you to know the truth. Even if it changes everything you believe about me. My name is not Emma Bennett. It's Alina Sokolov. I was born in Moscow. I came to America when I was 22. I changed my name, built a new identity, because I was running from something I'd seen, something dangerous. I became an art conservator. I was good at it. I loved it. I met another woman, Katya Volkov. We became partners. Friends. We worked together for 5 years. We were restoring a collection of Russian icons for a private collector, and we found something we weren't supposed to find. Forgeries. High-quality forgeries being sold as originals, not just in one museum, in dozens, a network. International. Worth hundreds of millions of dollars. We reported it. We thought we were doing the right thing. We thought someone would investigate, fix it, arrest the people responsible. Instead, they came after us. Katya died in a car accident. The police said she lost control, but I knew, they killed her. And I knew I was next. But I couldn't leave without protecting you. You were 8 years old, innocent. You had no idea what your mother had discovered. What I'd put you in danger by discovering. So I made a choice. I left. I gave you to Rachel. I told her to tell you I was unstable, that I'd abandoned you. Because if they thought you knew nothing, if they thought you were just a child with an absent mother, they'd leave you alone. And I gave you the pendant, the blue pendant you've carried all these years. You thought it was just glass, a sentimental keepsake, but it's not. It's Murano crystal. One of 12 made. Katya and I each had one. They were gifts from a curator we trusted. Before we knew he was part of the forgery ring, before we knew he'd betrayed us. Inside each pendant is a code, etched into the crystal. Invisible unless you know how to look. The code leads to a location, a safe deposit box. Inside that box are documents, proof of the forgery ring, names, transactions, everything we found. Katya's pendant is with her son, Adrian. He was 17 when she died. He doesn't know what it means yet, but someday he will. And if he finds you, if he shows you his pendant, you'll know he's telling the truth. Trust him, Lara. He's family, not by blood, but by loss, by what was taken from both of you. I'm so sorry I couldn't stay. I'm so sorry I let you grow up thinking I didn't love you. I've loved you every single day, every moment, even from far away, even in hiding. If I could come back, I would, but I can't. Not yet. Not until it's safe. Not until the people who killed Katya are gone. Or caught. Or dead. Keep the pendant safe. Don't tell anyone what it is. Don't trust anyone. Not until you're sure. I love you, my darling girl. I always have. I always will. Mama, the letter slipped from my hands, fell to the floor. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't process what I'd just read. My mother hadn't abandoned me. She'd left to protect me. She'd been running, hiding, for 28 years, and the pendant, this thing I'd carried like a memory, was evidence, proof, a code. I picked up the pendant, held it up to the light, looked closer than I'd ever looked before. The blue crystal was smooth, flawless, but when I angled it toward the window, I saw something. Faint lines, scratches, no, not scratches, numbers, coordinates, a combination. I couldn't tell, but they were there. Etched into the glass, hidden, waiting. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Where are you? Dinner is at 7. You need to be ready. Don't embarrass me. I looked at the time. 6:15. I'd been sitting here reading for almost an hour. I hadn't showered, hadn't changed, hadn't even thought about the stupid dinner. I texted back, not feeling well. Can't make it tonight. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then his response. Lara, this is important. The Hendersons are my colleagues. You're coming. Be ready in 30 minutes. Not, are you okay? Not what's wrong. Just demands. Orders. Like I was an employee. A subordinate. Like he didn't care about me at all. I stared at the text. At his name on my screen. Marcus Bennett. The man I'd been married to for 12 years. The man who controlled our finances. Our social life. Every decision we made. The man who'd never once asked about my pendant. The man who'd looked afraid when Adrian mentioned my mother's real name. Alina Volkov. And then I remembered something. Something Marcus had said once. Years ago, we'd been at a museum fundraiser. Someone mentioned Russian art. Marcus had gone quiet, tense. Changed the subject quickly. At the time, I thought he was just bored, uninterested. But what if it wasn't that? What if he knew something? What if no? That was crazy. Paranoid. Marcus was my husband. He loved me. He'd married me. Why would he? But he'd never asked about the pendant. In 12 years. Never once. Because he already knew what it was. The front door opened, keys jingling. Footsteps in the hallway. Marcus was home early. I shoved the letter into my purse. Threw the photos back in the box, kicked it under the table, stood up, tried to look normal, calm. He walked into the kitchen, still in his suit, tie loosened, irritated expression. Why aren't you dressed? I told you. I'm not feeling well. You look fine to me. I have a headache. I need to lie down. He walked closer, studied my face. You've been crying. No, I haven't. Your eyes are red. What's wrong? Nothing. I'm just tired. Is this about that man, Adrian? Are you still thinking about what he said? No, I'm not thinking about him at all. Marcus's jaw tightened. Good, because I talked to Dr. Cross. She agreed to ban him from the museum. He won't bother you again. You banned him. For your protection. He was harassing you. Making wild claims. It's inappropriate. Dr. Cross understood. I didn't ask you to do that. You didn't have to ask. I'm your husband. I protect you. The way he said it. Like ownership. Like I was something he controlled, protected, managed. I'm going to lie down, I said. We're going to dinner. Get dressed, Marcus. I said I'm not feeling well, Lara. He stepped closer, his voice dropped, the tone he used when he was about to win an argument he'd already decided was over. I've been patient with you today. I've let you have your moment of panic. But this ends now. You're going to put on the blue dress. You're going to smile at the Hendersons. And you're going to act like my wife. Not a child having a breakdown over a stranger's conspiracy theory. I looked at him. Really looked at him. At the man I'd been married to for 12 years. And I realized I had no idea who he was. I'm not going, I said quietly. His hand shot out, grabbed my wrist, hard. Yes, you are. I pulled back. He held tighter. Marcus, let go. Not until you agree to stop this nonsense. You're embarrassing me. Embarrassing yourself. I won't allow it. I yanked my arm free. Hard enough that I stumbled backward. Hit the counter. Don't touch me like that. Like what? I barely touched you. You're being dramatic. Get out of the kitchen. This is my house too. I'll stand wherever I want. Then I'm leaving. I grabbed my purse, walked toward the door. He followed. Where are you going? Out, Lara. If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back tonight. I stopped, turned. Are you threatening me? I'm telling you how marriage works. You don't get to throw tantrums and run away. You don't get to humiliate me in front of my colleagues. I'm not trying to humiliate you. I'm trying to understand what's happening to me. Nothing is happening to you. A con artist told you a story. That's all. And you're choosing to believe him instead of your husband. That's insulting, Lara. It's disrespectful. I looked at him, at his perfect suit, his perfect hair, his perfect control. And I saw it. What I'd missed for 12 years. He didn't love me. He managed me. Controlled me. Kept me small. Kept me quiet. Kept me exactly where he wanted me. And I'd let him. Because I didn't know any better. Because I thought this was what marriage looked like. Because I was so grateful someone had chosen me. I never questioned why. I'll be back later, I said. Lara, I walked out. Got in my car. Drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay in that apartment. With that man. Who'd just grabbed my wrist like I was property. Who'd dismissed everything I was feeling like it didn't matter. I ended up at a coffee shop. Sat in the corner. Ordered tea I didn't drink. Pulled out my mother's letter. Read it again. And again. My phone buzzed. Marcus. 10 texts. All variations of the same thing. Come home. Don't be childish. You're making a mistake. I turned my phone off. And I realized something. For the first time in 12 years, I was making a choice Marcus didn't control. And it felt terrifying. And it felt like freedom. I sat in that coffee shop until they started closing. Until the barista started wiping down tables and stacking chairs. Until I couldn't pretend I was just a woman having tea anymore. I was a woman whose entire life was a lie. My mother's letter was spread out on the table in front of me. 3 pages, handwritten. Every word changing everything I thought I knew. The pendant was next to it. Blue crystal, catching the overhead lights. And now that I knew what to look for, I could see them. The marks, the scratches that weren't scratches. Numbers etched into the glass so faintly you'd miss them unless you were looking. Really looking. I pulled out my phone, turned it back on. 23 texts from Marcus. I didn't read them, just scrolled past, opened the camera, took a photo of the pendant at different angles, zoomed in on the markings. Numbers, definitely numbers. But in what order? What did they mean? Coordinates. My mother had written a location, a safe deposit box. But where? I looked at the letter again, searched for clues. She'd mentioned Katya Volkov, Adrian's mother. They'd worked together. Partners, friends. Adrian had said he'd been looking for me for 12 years. That he'd promised himself he'd find Elena's daughter. He'd left his business card. I'd shoved it in my purse without thinking, without knowing if I'd ever use it. I dug through my purse now. Found it. Simple white card. Black text. Adrian Volkov, Art Conservation and Authentication. International Consultant. A phone number, an email, an address in New York. I stared at it, trying to decide. Marcus had banned him from the museum, told me he was a con artist, told me to stay away. But Marcus had also grabbed my wrist, threatened me, looked terrified when Adrian mentioned my mother's real name. What if Marcus was the liar? What if everything he'd told me for 12 years was designed to keep me from finding the truth? I called the number before I could talk myself out of it. It rang twice, then his voice. "This is Adrian. It's Lara Bennett, from the museum." Silence. Then, carefully, "Are you okay?" "No, I'm not okay. I found a letter. From my mother. She wrote it before she disappeared. She told me everything. About Elena Volkov. About Katya. About the forgery ring. About the pendant being a code. Where are you?" "Coffee shop. Near the museum." "I don't know what to do. My husband I can't go home. I don't think it's safe. Text me the address. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He was there in 15. I watched him walk through the door. Same expensive suit from this morning. But he looked different now. Tired. Worried. Like he'd been searching for something for a very long time and finally found it, but wasn't sure what it meant. He sat across from me, saw the letter on the table. The pendant. My red eyes. "Did he hurt you?" "Who?" "Your husband. Marcus. Did he hurt you?" I touched my wrist. It was red where he'd grabbed it. Starting to bruise. "He didn't hit me. He grabbed me. When I tried to leave. He's never done that before." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Do you have somewhere safe to stay tonight?" "I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. I just knew I couldn't stay there." "You can stay with me. I have a hotel suite. 2 bedrooms. You'll be safe. I don't even know you." "I know, but I knew your mother. And I promised her years ago, before she disappeared, that if anything happened to her, I'd protect you. I was 17. She made me swear. And I've spent half my life trying to keep that promise." "Why would she ask you to do that?" "Because my mother was already dead. Because she knew I understood what it meant to lose someone to this. And because she trusted me." I looked at him. At this stranger who somehow knew more about my mother than I did. And I made a choice. Maybe a stupid choice. Maybe a dangerous choice. But a choice. "Okay. But first, I need your help with something." I showed him the letter. He read it slowly, carefully. When he finished, his hands were shaking. "She wrote this before she disappeared, 28 years ago. My aunt gave me a box with my mother's things when I turned 18, but the letter was hidden, behind a false bottom. I just found it today. She mentioned my mother Katya, and the pendant. You said your pendant is identical to mine. Can I see it?" He reached into his jacket, pulled out a pendant, exactly like mine, same size, same blue crystal, same delicate chain. I held them side by side. "They're the same." "Not exactly. Look closer." I did, and I saw it. The markings inside, the numbers, but they were different. Different sequence, different pattern. "They're coordinates," Adrian said. 2 sets, 2 halves of the same location. My mother told me before she died. She said the pendant was important. That someday someone would come looking for it. Someone who had the other half. And together, they'd find something she and Elena had hidden. A safe deposit box. With evidence. Proof of the forgery ring. Yes. But we need both pendants to decode the location. And we need to do it fast. Because if your husband knows what you found, he knows. He has to know. He never asked about my pendant. Not once in 12 years. Because he already knew what it was. Adrian looked at me carefully. "What's your husband's full name?" Marcus Bennett? Why? Did he have that name when you met him? I don't know. I never thought to ask. Why would I? People don't just change their names. People do if they're hiding something. What does he do? For work. He's director of operations at the museum. He handles finances, budgets, vendor contracts. He's been there for 14 years. 2 years before you married him. Yes. Adrian pulled out his phone. Started typing. Searching. When did your mother disappear? 28 years ago. I was 8, and the forgery ring. The one my mother and Alina discovered. The investigation happened around the same time. Some of the investigators were compromised, paid off, working with the criminals instead of stopping them. He showed me his phone. An article from an art journal, dated 29 years ago. International art forgery ring under investigation. I read the names listed. Investigators, consultants, gallery owners. One name stood out. Marcus Collier, junior investigator, art fraud division. My hands went numb. That can't be. When did you meet your husband? 14 years ago. I was 22, fresh out of community college, working at the museum as an intern. He was 26. He'd just been hired as a financial analyst. We started dating 6 months later. Got married 2 years after that, and he approached you. Or you approached him. I tried to remember. It was so long ago. He approached me. I was cataloging a new acquisition. Russian icons. He asked about my work, said he was interested in art history. We started having lunch together. Coffee breaks. He was charming, attentive. I'd never had anyone pay attention to me like that. Because you were alone. Your mother was gone. Your aunt raised you, but she was distant. You were lonely. Vulnerable. The perfect target. What are you saying? Adrian turned his phone toward me. Showed me another article, newer. Marcus Collier investigated for fraud. Charges dropped due to lack of evidence. The article was dated 15 years ago. The year before Marcus appeared at the museum. The year before he became Marcus Bennett. He changed his name, Adrian said quietly. After the investigation fell apart. After the charges were dropped, he changed his name and he disappeared. Until he found you. No, that's not possible. He married me because he loved me. Because he wanted. He married you because you're Alina Volkov's daughter. Because you had the pendant. Because they needed to make sure you never figured out what it meant. What your mother had hidden. The coffee shop was spinning. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. 12 years. 12 years of marriage. Of believing someone loved me. Of building a life. Of trusting, and it was all a lie. Every moment. Every kiss. Every time he'd said I love you. It was surveillance. A mission. A job. I'm going to be sick. Adrian grabbed my arm. Steadied me. Breathe. Just breathe. I know this is overwhelming, but we need to move fast. If Marcus realizes you know he figures out you found the letter, he'll either run, or he'll come after you. And I don't know which is more dangerous. What do I do? First, we decode the pendants. Find the safe deposit box. Get the evidence your mother and my mother died protecting. Then we go to the authorities. The real authorities. Not the corrupt ones who let Marcus walk free 15 years ago. How do we decode them? Adrian took both pendants, held them up to the light, studied the markings. These are coordinates, but they're incomplete. Each pendant has half. When you combine them, they form a complete location. He pulled out a notebook, started writing down the numbers from both pendants, arranged them in different combinations, tried different patterns. There, he said finally. These are GPS coordinates. Chicago, near the financial district. There's a bank there, old building. They have high-security safe deposit boxes. For art dealers, collectors, people who need to store valuable items discreetly. How do we access the box? We'll need identification, proof that we're authorized. Your mother's letter should be enough. And my mother's death certificate. Proof that we're the daughters and sons they were protecting. When tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. The bank opens at 8, but I want to give us time to prepare. To make sure we're not followed. To make sure Marcus doesn't My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. I know you're with him. I know what you're doing. Come home now, or I'll call the police. Tell them you stole something from the museum. Tell them you're not stable. They'll believe me, Lara. They always do. I showed Adrian the text. He read it. His expression darkened. He's threatening you. He's done. He knows I know something. And he's trying to control it. Control me, like he always has. Then we need to move tonight, not tomorrow, tonight. Before he can do anything, before he can stop us. It's almost midnight. The bank is closed. I know the night security. I've stored pieces there before. High-value restorations. He'll let us in, if we hurry. I looked at my phone. At Marcus's text. At the 12 years of lies behind it. And I felt something I'd never felt before. Not sadness. Not fear. Rage. Cold. Clear. Focused. Let's go. We left the coffee shop. Got into Adrian's car. A black sedan. Professional. Anonymous. He drove fast but careful. Watching the mirrors. Making sure we weren't followed. My phone kept buzzing. Marcus calling. Texting. Each message more desperate. More threatening. I'll ruin you. Nobody will believe you. You're throwing away everything for a stranger. I turned my phone off. Threw it in my purse. I didn't want to hear from him. Didn't want to read his words. Didn't want to give him any more space in my head. You're doing the right thing, Adrian said quietly. Am I? Because it feels like I'm destroying my entire life. You're not destroying it. You're discovering it was never real to begin with. There's a difference. We pulled up to the bank. Old building. Stone facade. Heavy doors. A security guard was inside. Adrian knocked the guard, recognized him. Opened the door. Mr. Volkov, late night, emergency access. I need to retrieve something from a client's box. This is Lara Bennett. She's authorized. The guard looked at me, at my red eyes, my wrinkled clothes, my face that probably screamed I'm having a breakdown. But he nodded. Follow me. We went down. Into the vault. Rows of safe deposit boxes. Hundreds. Each one locked. Each one holding someone's secrets. Box number. The guard asked. Adrian looked at me. The coordinates. What were the last 4 digits? I closed my eyes. Tried to remember. 4729. Box 4729. The guard led us to it. Top row, far corner. He used his key, stepped back. I'll give you privacy. Adrian used the pendant, both of them. Somehow they fit together, formed a key. Unlocked the second mechanism. The box opened. Inside a folder. Thick documents, photos, bank statements, names, transactions, decades of evidence, carefully organized, meticulously documented, and on top, a note, in my mother's handwriting. For Lara, for Adrian, for the truth. I'm sorry I couldn't finish this, but you can, you will. Be brave, be smart, be safe. I love you both. Alina and Katya. I picked up the folder, held it, the weight of it. 28 years, 2 women, 2 lives destroyed. And now, finally, justice. We have it. I whispered. We have it. Adrian agreed. And for the first time in 12 years, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. We didn't sleep that night. Adrian took me to his hotel. 2-bedroom suite like he'd promised. Clean, safe, anonymous. But I couldn't rest. Couldn't stop thinking about the folder sitting on the table between us. 28 years of evidence. Names, transactions, photos of forged paintings hanging in major museums, bank statements showing millions of dollars moving through shell companies, and Marcus's name, Marcus Collier, on a dozen documents. A junior investigator who'd been paid off, who'd helped cover up the forgery ring instead of exposing it, who'd married me to make sure I never found out. Adrian made coffee at 4 a.m. We sat at the table, going through every document, making notes, building a timeline. We need law enforcement, he said. But not local. This goes too high. Too many people were paid off back then. We need FBI. Federal Art Fraud Division. Do you know someone? I know someone who knows someone. Let me make a call. He disappeared into the other room. I heard his voice, low, urgent, explaining the situation to someone who hopefully wasn't corrupt, hopefully wasn't part of the same network that had killed his mother and forced mine into hiding. He came back 20 minutes later. Detective Sarah Paulson, FBI Art Crimes Unit. She's based in Chicago. She's been investigating the same forgery ring for 5 years. She wants to meet. This morning, 7 a.m., that's in 3 hours. I know, but Laura, we can't wait. Marcus is going to figure out what we're doing. If he hasn't already, we need to get this evidence to someone who can protect it. Protect you. He's been tracking me, hasn't he? That's how he knew I was with you. How he knew what we were doing. Adrian nodded. Probably your phone. Maybe your credit cards. He's had access to your accounts for 12 years. He knows how to monitor you. I thought about my phone. Sitting in my purse. Turned off now. But before that, Marcus had been texting. Calling, knowing exactly where I was. I need a new phone, new cards. New everything. We'll handle that after we meet with Paulson. Right now, we just need to survive until 7 a.m. At 6:30, we left the hotel. Adrian drove. I watched the mirrors, looking for Marcus's car, looking for anyone following us. The FBI field office was downtown. Modern building, security checkpoints, ID badges. Everything felt official, real. Like maybe, finally, someone would listen. Detective Paulson met us in a conference room. 50's sharp eyes. No nonsense expression. She shook our hands, sat down, opened her laptop. Mr. Volkov explained the situation. You have evidence of the Volkov-Sokolov case. I pushed the folder across the table. My mother was Alina Sokolov. She and Katya Volkov discovered the forgery ring 28 years ago. They documented everything. And they hid it. Because they knew the investigators were compromised. Paulson opened the folder. Started reading. Her expression didn't change, but her hands moved faster. Flipping pages, taking photos with her phone, making notes. This is significant, she said after 10 minutes. These names, these transactions, half of these people are still active in the art world, still dealing, still selling. We've suspected, but we've never had proof. This is proof. There's something else, I said. One of the investigators from the original case, Marcus Collier. He changed his name to Marcus Bennett. And he married me. Paulson looked up. He what? 14 years ago, he appeared at the museum where I work, used a different name. Got a job. Started dating me, married me. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was connected to my mother's case. But he knew. He knew the whole time. Why would he do that? I pulled out my pendant, showed her. My mother left me this. I thought it was just a keepsake. But it's a key. Coordinates to the safe deposit box, where she hid the evidence. Marcus married me to monitor me. To make sure I never figured it out. To make sure my mother never came back. Paulson took the pendant, examined it, and you're sure he's Marcus Collier? Adrian pulled out his phone. Showed her the articles, the photos, side-by-side comparisons of Marcus Collier from 28 years ago and Marcus Bennett now, older, different hair, but the same face, the same eyes. We're sure, Adrian said. Paulson closed the folder. I need to bring him in, today. If he realizes you've come forward, he'll run. Or worse. Where is he now? I don't know. Probably at our apartment. Or the museum, looking for me. Do you have access to the apartment? It's my apartment. My name is on the lease. But I haven't been back since yesterday. Good. Don't go back. Not until we have him in custody. Mr. Volkov, can you keep Ms. Bennett somewhere safe? Yes. Do it. I'll have agents pick up Marcus Bennett within the hour. And Ms. Bennett, thank you. What you're doing coming forward with this evidence, it's incredibly brave. Your mother would be proud. I wanted to believe that, but all I felt was numb, tired, like I'd been running for 28 years without knowing it. And now, finally, I could stop. We left the FBI office, got back in Adrian's car, started driving. My phone, still off, buzzed in my purse. I'd forgotten to remove the battery. Marcus must have paid for some kind of tracking that worked even when the phone was off. He's going to know we went to the FBI, I said. Let him know, it's over. He can't stop it now. But I underestimated Marcus, I always had. We were 2 blocks from the hotel when Adrian's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered on speaker. Adrian Volkov. This is Dr. Evelyn Cross, from the Riverside Museum. I'm trying to reach Laura Bennett. It's urgent. Dr. Cross. This is Laura. What's wrong? Marcus is here. At the museum. He's in your office. He's going through your desk. Your files. He's saying you stole something. That he's filing a police report. I tried to stop him, but he said he has every right as your husband. Lara, what's going on? Don't let him touch anything. I'm coming there now. Lara, I don't think I hung up. Looked at Adrian. He's at the museum. He's destroying evidence. Anything that connects him to me, to my mother. We have to stop him. The FBI is handling it. Let them know. I need to face him. I need him to know I'm not afraid anymore. Adrian looked at me. Saw something in my expression. Something that had changed overnight. And he nodded. Okay. But I'm coming with you. We drove to the museum, parked, walked inside. Dr. Cross met us in the lobby. He's still upstairs. Security tried to remove him, but he threatened to sue. Said this is a domestic matter. That you're his wife and he has legal rights to access your workspace. He doesn't. Not anymore. I took the stairs. Adrian behind me. My heart was racing, but my hands were steady. For the first time in 12 years, I knew exactly what I was doing. My office door was open. Marcus was inside, going through drawers, pulling out files, looking for something. Anything. Looking for this. He spun around, saw me, his face went white. Lara, where have you been? I've been worried sick. No, you haven't. You've been trying to find out what I know, how much I've discovered, whether I've talked to anyone. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Marcus Collier. His expression froze, just for a second, but I saw it. Recognition, fear, and then it shifted, into something else, something cold. Who told you that name? My mother. In a letter she wrote before she disappeared. The letter you didn't know existed. The letter you couldn't find, because you didn't know where to look. Your mother was a criminal. She stole art, falsified documents. She deserved what happened to her. She exposed criminals. And you were one of them. You took money to cover up a forgery ring. You helped them destroy evidence. And when the case fell apart, you changed your name and you disappeared. Until you found me. Marcus stepped closer. His voice dropped. The tone he used when he was about to win an argument. Lara, listen to me carefully. Whatever you think you know, you're wrong. You're confused. That Manadrian, he's manipulating you. Using you. He wants the pendant. He wants the money. That's all this is about. The FBI has the evidence. All of it. They're coming for you. Right now. His face changed. The mask dropped. And I saw him. Really saw him. The man I'd been married to for 12 years. And he was a stranger. You stupid girl. Do you have any idea what you've done? Do you know how many people are going to be destroyed by this? How many careers? How many lives? Yes, criminals, people who stole art, who profited from fraud, who killed anyone who got in their way. Your mother wasn't innocent. Neither was Katya. They were going to expose everyone, destroy an entire network. For what? Justice. There's no such thing. There's only survival. And they didn't survive. But I did. And now I'm finishing what they started. He laughed, sharp, bitter. You think you've won. You think this is over. Lara, you were nothing. You are nothing. A lonely girl who was grateful someone paid attention to her. I married you because it was my job. Because I was told to. Because monitoring you was easier than killing you. The words should have hurt, should have broken me. But they didn't. Because I'd already grieved the man I thought I married. The man who never existed. I know, I said calmly. I know you never loved me. I know it was all fake, and that's fine, because I'm done letting you control my life. You can't prove anything. I'll deny it all. I'll say you're unstable. That you're making this up. That Adrian manipulated you. They'll believe me. They always do. No, they won't. Because the FBI has evidence, documents, bank statements, photos, your name, your signature, all of it. Footsteps on the stairs. Detective Paulson appeared. 2 agents behind her. Marcus Bennett, also known as Marcus Collier. You're under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. Marcus lunged toward me. Adrian stepped between us. The agents grabbed Marcus, pulled his arms behind his back, handcuffed him. He was screaming now. She's lying. She stole evidence. She's mentally unstable. You can't believe her. But nobody was listening. They were reading him his rights, leading him toward the stairs. He stopped, looked back at me, and his voice got quiet. Vicious. You were a job, Laura. That's all you ever were. 12 years. Every kiss. Every I love you. Every moment. It was work. And I hated every second of it. I looked at him, at this man who'd stolen 12 years of my life, and I felt nothing. No pain, no anger. Just relief. I believe you, I said, and I'm glad, because if you'd actually loved me, this would hurt. But you didn't. So it doesn't. They took him away, down the stairs, out of the museum, out of my life. I stood in my office, surrounded by the files he'd been destroying, the evidence he'd been trying to erase, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Free. 3 weeks after Marcus's arrest, I signed divorce papers. My lawyer said I didn't have to wait. That fraud and false identity were grounds for immediate annulment. That I could erase the marriage like it never happened. But I didn't want to erase it. I wanted to remember, not the lies, but the lesson that I'd survived, that I'd been strong enough to walk away, that I'd chosen truth over comfort. The papers were simple. No assets to divide. Marcus had nothing. Everything he owned was either seized by the FBI or purchased with stolen money. The apartment was in my name. The bank accounts were frozen. He had a public defender and a cell in Cook County Jail awaiting trial. I signed my name, Laura Bennett. Soon to be Laura Sokolov. My mother's real name. My real name. It's done, my lawyer said. You're free. But I wasn't. Not yet. Not completely. Because I still didn't know if my mother was alive. The FBI had been investigating for 3 weeks. Following leads from the documents we'd found. Arresting members of the forgery ring. Recovering stolen art worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Detective Paulson called me every few days with updates. 12 people arrested. 6 museums under investigation. 2 international auction houses shut down. But nothing about Alina Sokolov. Nothing about my mother. We're still looking, Paulson said. But Laura, it's been 28 years. If she's alive, she's hidden herself incredibly well. And if she's not, I'm sorry. We may never know. I accepted that. Or tried to. I'd lived 28 years believing she was gone. Learning she'd left to protect me didn't change the outcome. She was still gone. Adrian stayed in Chicago. He'd canceled meetings, postponed projects, spent 3 weeks helping me rebuild my life. We had coffee every morning, went through evidence every afternoon, sat in comfortable silence every evening. You don't have to stay, I told him one night. You have a business, a life. You've done enough. I promised your mother I'd protect you. I'm not leaving until I know you're safe. I am safe. Marcus is in jail. The people who threatened my mother are being arrested. It's over. Then I'm not leaving until I'm sure you're okay. Really okay. I looked at him. This man who'd kept a promise to a woman he'd lost 28 years ago, who'd searched for a daughter he'd never met, who'd risked everything to help a stranger. Why? I asked. Why do this? Why care this much? Because my mother died believing she'd failed. That she couldn't protect Alina, couldn't protect you. And I spent half my life wondering if I could have done something different. Saved her. Saved both of them. I can't bring my mother back. But I can keep the promise I made to her. That's enough. For weeks after Marcus's arrest, Detective Paulson called. Her voice was different, excited, urgent, Lara, I need you to come to my office, now. There's someone who wants to talk to you, just come, please, it's important. Adrian drove me. We didn't talk, just sat with the tension. The hope I was afraid to feel. Paulson met us at the door, led us to a conference room, and standing there by the window, looking out at the Chicago skyline was a woman. 64 years old, gray hair, thin, tired, but I knew her face. I'd seen it in photos, in my memories, in my dreams. Mama, she turned, saw me, and her face crumpled. Lara, my Lara. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. This wasn't possible. She was dead, or gone, or hidden forever. But she was here, real, alive. She crossed the room, wrapped her arms around me, and I broke, sobbing, shaking, holding on to her like I was 8 years old again. Like if I let go, she'd disappear. You're alive. You're alive. I thought I didn't know. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, baby. I wanted to come back, every single day, but I couldn't. Not until it was safe. Not until they were caught. We sat down. Adrian gave us space, stood by the door, watching, making sure we had privacy. My mother held my hands, looked at me like she was memorizing my face. You look so much like your grandmother. She would have loved you, been so proud of you. Why didn't you come back sooner? Why wait 28 years? Because they were still looking. The people who killed Katya, who wanted me dead, they had resources, money, power. If I'd come back, they would have found me, found you. And I couldn't risk that. I couldn't risk them hurting you to get to me. But you're here now. What changed? You changed it. You and Adrian, you found the evidence. You brought it to the FBI. You exposed them, all of them. The people who've been hunting me for 28 years are either in custody or running scared. It's finally safe, finally over. Where have you been? All this time, Europe, mostly. Small towns, different countries. I worked as a translator. Used different names. Moved every few years. It was lonely, terrifying. But I survived. Because I knew you were safe. That Rachel was raising you. That you had a chance at a normal life. It wasn't normal. I spent my whole life thinking you abandoned me. That I wasn't enough. That I'd done something wrong. Her eyes filled with tears. I know, and I'm sorry. If I could go back, if I could change it, I would. But I can't. All I can do is tell you the truth now. That leaving you was the hardest thing I've ever done. That I thought about you every single day. That I loved you more than my own life, and I still do. I cried. She cried. We held each other. Two women who'd lost 28 years. Who'd survived. Who'd found each other again. There's something else, she said. About Marcus. I need you to know it wasn't your fault. That he found you. That he targeted you. He was assigned to you. They knew I'd given you the pendant. They knew someday you might figure out what it meant. So they sent someone to watch you. To control you. To make sure you never looked too closely. He married me for a job. Yes. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. That my choices, my actions led to you being hurt like that. It's not your fault. You were trying to protect me. And you did. I survived. I'm okay. And now he's in jail, where he belongs. You're stronger than I ever was. Braver. You finished what Katya and I started. You exposed them. Brought them to justice. You saved yourself. I'm so proud of you. We talked for hours. About her life in hiding. About my life without her. About the years we'd lost. The years we'd never get back. But also about the future. About what came next. Will you stay? I asked. In Chicago? Or are you going back to Europe? I'm staying. If you want me to. I know I can't make up for 28 years. I know I'm a stranger to you now, but I'd like to try. If you'll let me. I'd like that. 2 months later, my life looked completely different. I was promoted to chief curator at the Riverside Museum. Dr. Cross said I'd earned it. That my work both with the collection and with exposing the forgery ring had proven I was ready. Marcus was awaiting trial. His lawyer was negotiating a plea deal. 20 years minimum. He'd be 70 before he got out. I didn't care. He was gone. That was enough. My mother rented an apartment 3 blocks from mine. We had dinner twice a week. Slowly rebuilding what we'd lost. Learning each other again. Adrian stayed in Chicago. Said he had business here. Projects to oversee. But I knew the truth. He was staying for me. For us, we had coffee every morning, still, like we'd done during the investigation. But now it was different. Easier, without the weight of secrets. Without the fear. I'm thinking about moving here permanently, he said one morning. Opening a Chicago office for my conservation business. There's a lot of work here. A lot of art that needs restoration. Is that the only reason? He smiled. No. But it's a good excuse. You don't need an excuse. Good. Because I'm terrible at pretending I don't have feelings. And I have feelings about you, if that's okay. If it's not too soon. If I kissed him. Short, sweet. Testing, he kissed back. And it felt right. Not complicated. Not manipulated. Just real. Is that a yes? He asked. It's a maybe. Ask me again in 6 months. When I've figured out who I am without Marcus. Without the lies. When I'm just Lara. I can wait 6 months. Good. 6 months later, almost to the day, Adrian asked again. We were standing in my mother's apartment. She'd cooked dinner. Russian food. Recipes from her childhood. Stories about her parents. Her life before everything fell apart. Lara, Adrian said. It's been 6 months. I'm asking again, can I take you to dinner? A real date. Not just coffee. I looked at my mother. She smiled. Nodded, giving permission. I didn't need but appreciated anyway. Yes, you can take me to dinner. Finally, he said, finally. I agreed. That night, lying in bed, I thought about everything that had happened. The pendant, the letter, the discovery, the confrontation, the truth. A year ago, I was married to a man I didn't know, working a job I'd outgrown, living a life someone else had designed for me. Now I was free, chief curator, reconnected with my mother, building something real with someone who saw me. Actually saw me. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was the life I'd chosen, and that made all the difference. I pulled out the pendant, blue crystal, the thing that had started everything. That had hidden the truth for 28 years. I didn't need it anymore. The code had been decoded, the evidence found, the people responsible arrested. But I kept it anyway, not as a key. As a reminder that secrets have weight, that truth has power, that sometimes losing everything is the only way to find yourself. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt trapped in a life someone else built, please share it. Comment below. Tell me your story of breaking free, of discovering the truth, of choosing yourself, because that's what this was always about. Not the pendant, not the forgery ring, not even my mother. It was about me, learning that I mattered, that I deserved truth, that I was strong enough to demand it. I carried my mother's pendant for 28 years, and then a stranger told me my husband married me to spy on us. But here's what I learned. The pendant was never just glass. My marriage was never just love. And I was never just the person Marcus wanted me to be. I was Alina Sokolov's daughter. Strong, brave, worthy, and nobody not Marcus. Not the forgery ring. Not the people who'd stolen 28 years from my mother. Could take that away from me. Thank you for listening to my story. For believing me. For being here. I got through this because I stopped being afraid. Because I chose truth over comfort. Because I found people who saw me. You can too. You're not alone. You're not trapped. You're not the person someone else decided you should be. You're you. And that's enough. That's always been enough.